Hi everyone. Today we're going to do some unruly firewood logs. So I'm going to show you my techniques for dealing with them from start to finish on the firewood processor. So if you guys have seen the YouTube channel In the Woodyard, Chris has these beautiful piles of straight logs. They're really nice. They're like the perfect diameter. They don't have a lot of knots in them. They're just really nice logs. And I get stuff, this is what I get. Yes, that's 24 feet long. Now the maximum that my processor can handle is 20 feet because any longer and it won't lay on the infeed conveyor. So in addition to this being very long, it's also got a whole bunch of knots. You see this thing here, right? Got another one there. That's a little one. That's no problem at all. This is a monstrosity right here. And then the diameter, this one's not too bad. This one is only this one's only 21 inches. I'm gonna have to cut that. I'm gonna have to cut this back just a little bit. Probably have to cut it back. Well, I only like to do 18-inch logs. Any bigger and they get unmanageable. So what I'm going to show you is how I deal with this kind of thing. We're going to knock the end off. We might have to take 2 cuts just to get it back so it's small enough, preferably to the 18-inch diameter mark. And once we do that, then we're going to come up here. These pieces that are protruding out, I'm going to knock those off. And what I may have to do, just for sake of ease, is pick this thing up with my grapple. Well, I can't pick the whole thing up. There's no way I can lift this with my tractor. It's just too big. But I might lift one end and then cut that piece off. So then the next thing I want to have to do is, once I get those trimmed off, then I'm going to cut it into manageable lengths. And that's going to be probably 8 or 10 feet. We'll see how it looks. Another thing that we have to contend with is the ends that look like this. That is usually a problem going through the firewood processor. They just don't want to split, or they land in the splitter box in some crazy way and it doesn't work out too well. Now here I'm standing at the other end of that really crooked log, and you can see this way, that way, and then that way. So that one's going to be interesting, and it's got a lot of stubs on the side. These things are unbelievable. All right, I sharpened the chainsaw, fueled it up, and it's ready to go. The log, I just did a quick measurement to make sure that I've got a 16-inch mark, which I just laid this right here at 16 inches. Now I do have a little gauge here, but I want to double check my gauge, and that's why I did that. So it's good to have a wedge. Before I lift this up with the grapple to get these bigger stubs cut off, I'm going to chop this end since it's laying flat. But I might need the wedge to keep from pinching the saw. So just keep that handy. So we'll give that about 2 minutes to warm up. Definitely want these engines to warm up before you start really working them. now what I'm going to do, since this log was 24 feet long, I'm going to try to cut this in half and see how that does. Since I already cut some off the end, see if half will do the trick. That's 11 feet. See how that goes? There you have it. That piece is 11 feet long. That piece is about 11 feet, maybe 10 feet long. I couldn't quite reach the end there because of the grapple being in my way. This end is crooked. However, I think we can manage to get it to go through because it's only crooked in this one spot here. Now, if this was really, really wonky, I'd probably have to cut that off. But I think this will be okay. We're going to give it a try, see what it does. This log I'm going to drop right into the infeed conveyor instead of putting it on the live deck, only because there's nothing in the infeed. That's my typical procedure. If there's nothing in the infeed, I'll drop the first log right in here, and then I can stack up more logs on the live deck. Now you noticed that I did not drop this log from any great height. I just tried to gently lay it in there as best as I could. I still dropped it a little bit, but I didn't let it slam down on the machine. That's really not good for the machine. Here's a stub poking out. Luckily it's up on top, so it shouldn't be a problem. All right, you see there's another stub right there. That one could be an issue, but it'll probably be okay. Now then I also put this log on the live deck, just for demonstration purposes. You can see how crooked it is. This is sticking out a little bit. And it should be okay, but I can almost guarantee you that when I go to feed this in from the live deck, it's not gonna go in, it's gonna get hung up. We will go through this. We'll process this one, and then we'll process the next one. All right, I'm going to try to explain this over the noise of the engine. If that doesn't work, I'll do a voiceover. throw it right back in. And that's just one less that I have to pick up later and resplit. A lot of these are big. These are going to have to be resplit. The log is cleared, or the clamp has cleared the log. So we're okay there. And now you have to be careful that there's enough log down there to counterbalance what's sticking out beyond the end of the in-feed conveyor. That's really, really important, because if you drop this in there without cutting it, it's a real big problem. Now I need to move it a little bit. Started to tip a little bit and the clamp caught it. So now I need two hands again. Start to bring it out, and then you put your hand on top and you fling it down so that it drops down perfectly into the chamber. And now you see it landed square in the chamber, and that's exactly what you want. A lot of times they'll land on end and it's a real hassle to try to straighten them out. Okay, now we're ready to feed this other unruly log. So let's watch what happens. All right, and it's hung up just like I thought. Now, sometimes you can back it up and give it a good run, and it'll jump in. But this one's not cooperating. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get it with the grapple and push it in. Now when it's laying on the machine, you can really see how crooked and unruly this thing is. First thing that's going to hit the wedge in that direction, and that'll start it to split because it hits this part of the wedge first and then these. So that should start to split. Definitely don't want it to get stuck. So that's how we deal with a large unruly log. A lot of it is preparation. If you get all the stubs cut off and get it as clean as possible, that'll save a lot of time in the end. 17 inches in diameter, which was, that's on the large side, but this machine can handle that no problem. One of the main things to watch for when you have a large diameter log is you have to make sure that the whole log is within the arc of the saw. So there was one piece, I think it was my first or second piece, the saw went when it got down to about here, it was just barely cutting the log. It missed maybe like a 1/4 inch of the log, so it sliced inside. So I grabbed it and shook it a little bit, and then it snapped off and fell. But that's because the log was so large and it was outside the arc of the saw. Okay, if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you later.